Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I recently watched the entirety of the first Doctor stories and thought I would do a ranking video of the 29 stories or serials from worst to best. I'll add a brief synopsis for each story followed by my comments and some clips. So here we go. On the planet Vortis, the Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Vicky are swept up in the struggles of the butterfly-like Menoptera, the original citizens of Vortis who were forced to flee the planet to escape the encroaching web of the Animus and its mind-controlled minions, the ant-like Zarbi. This is by far the worst of the William Hartnell stories for me, and possibly one of the worst Doctor Who stories ever made. If it was 4 episodes long it wouldn't be as bad, but it's 6 tedious episodes. The ambition is there and apparently it had a relatively high budget, but for me it just doesn't work. The Zarbi chirping noises start off as being mildly annoying, however this soon changes to being extremely egregious, to the point of absolute distraction. It's like a bad dream. One rare highlight though is when Ian is angry that his Coal Hill school tie gets dropped in a pool of acid and is ruined.
Let's see.
Oh, just a minute.
There. Here you are, you see?
Yes, I do see. You've ruined it. That was my Coal Hill school tie.
The planet's scenery, particularly in episode 1, is good, but it soon goes downhill. Not one that I want to watch again in a hurry. As they slowly recover from the shock of being thrown to the Tardis floor, the Doctor, Susan, Ian and Barbara all start acting strangely. Unexplained events occur and the travellers start to turn on each other as they contemplate what is happening on the TARDIS. This episode is a bit like Marmite. Most people either love it or hate it. I don't really like it. I feel like it's watching an actor's improvisation workshop and not in a particularly good way. It seems to be filmed as live, almost. I believe that this was a last-minute filler episode and it shows. On the positive side, you do get to see more of the TARDIS interior and it does explore the Doctor's and companions' relationships further. Susan trying to attack Ian with scissors is quite funny though.
Susan. You don't need that.
There's also quite a nice moment where the Doctor apologises to Barbara for accusing her of tampering with the TARDIS.
What do you care what I think or feel?
As we learn about each other, so we learn about ourselves.
At least it is only 2 episodes long. On the planet Kemble, Space Security Service agent Mark Corey is investigating a recent sighting of a Dalek spaceship. His suspicion that the creatures may have established a base proves well founded. He learns of a plot by the Daleks to invade and destroy the solar system. This is just 1 episode long. It's a bit of an unusual episode. Praise has to be given to the University of Leicester's complete remake of this 1 episode story, and it's well done. It's clearly an introduction to the upcoming Daleks Masterplan serial, and that seems to be the main purpose of the story. It must have been a weird episode for viewers back in 1965. The Daleks do, however, appear to be more menacing than they were recently shown in The Chase.
We will search for them. Destroy the ship. Fire!
Overall it's an okay episode, but it is just a 1 episode story. The Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Susan arrive in the TARDIS on board a spaceship. Their initial concern is for the ship's human crew, who are suffering from telepathic interference from the Sensorites. But Susan communicates with the Sensorites and finds the aliens fear an attack by the humans and are just defending themselves. I quite enjoyed this one, although it was overly long at 6 episodes. It does have one of the best cliffhangers of the time, with the Sensorite appearing at the spaceship window at the end of episode 1. The Sensorites also look a bit like the Ood in New Who. William Hartnell is at his most assertive and angriest here, and it's a great performance by him.
We must ask for new orders.
What's that? Speak up.
I must refer this matter to the Sense Sphere.
Well,
You must be patient. Oh, I won't be put fed up with this nonsense.
The story does sag a bit in the middle, and particularly when they arrive on the planet. The scenes on the spaceship, however, are very good. There is a funny scene at the end where Ian quips that at least the spaceship returning to Earth knows where they are going, suggesting that the Doctor doesn't know where he is going next, leaving the Doctor angry and stating that wherever they land next, he will leave Ian there.
Well, at least they know where they're going.
Implying I don't? And the very next place we stop, I shall take you off myself, and that is quite final. Carry on.
The TARDIS jumps a time track, and the travellers arrive on the planet Xeros. There they discover their own future selves displayed as exhibits in a museum established as a monument to the galactic conquests of the warlike Morok invaders who now rule the planet. When time shifts back to normal, they realise they must do everything they can to avert this potential future. This is not a bad story either. There are some nice scenes in the TARDIS at the beginning of the story, and there is a large exhibit of items in the museum, including a Dalek. William Hartnell shines again, and I like his impression of a Dalek.
I call them all. I am the master.
As well as his interrogation scene in episode 2.
So you see, your little toy isn't infallible, is it?
So you see fit to joke with me, eh? Well, let us give you something to joke about, shall we?
The Moroks all have the same funky hairstyle. They have taken over the planet in a conquest against the natives. The Doctor and crew assist in the natives revolting against the Moroks before leaving. It's a slow-paced story, but it's not bad at all. The TARDIS materialises in Paris in the year 1572, and the Doctor decides to visit the famous apothecary Charles Preslin. Stephen, meanwhile, is befriended by a group of Huguenots from the household of the Protestant Admiral de Coligny. This story is set in Paris in 1572. The story is completely missing from the BBC archives, and I watched a reconstruction. It's a nice setting, although the Doctor does not appear a great deal as himself as he becomes the abbot. The story also introduces Dodo as a companion. It's sometimes hard to follow the reconstruction as it's a word-heavy, fairly serious political story. Stephen has a lot to do and he does well in the story, although his sword fight with Gaston does drag a bit. I prefer the Reign of Terror as it's a bit lighter with some humour. The TARDIS arrives on the coast of the 17th century Cornwall, much to the astonishment of Polly and Ben. Pirates, led by Captain Samuel Pike and his henchman Cherub, are searching for a hidden treasure, while a smuggling ring, masterminded by the local squire, is trying to offload contraband. This is another story missing from the BBC archive, so I watched a reconstruction. I think this would score higher if it's ever recovered, as it has some lovely settings in Cornwall. This is pretty good, although it's a bog-standard pirate story of seeking hidden treasure. There are some interesting scenes between the pirates, the squire, and the revenue officer. I like that Ben laughs at seeing graves dating back to the 1600s, forgetting that they are actually in the 1600s.
Hey, Duchess, how much is at this one? 1592!
That's not old, Soppy. Don't forget, we're not in the 20th century. This is 1600 and something.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
The travellers learn from the time-space visualizer taken from the Morok's museum that Daleks equipped with their own time machine are on their trail with orders to exterminate them. They flee in the TARDIS. The chase begins on the desert planet Iridius and takes in a number of stopping off points, including a spooky haunted house, which is actually a futuristic funfair attraction. This one is not bad, but the Daleks aren't really taken seriously and seem ineffective, which is a detriment to the story. There is the Dalek who speaks slowly like he has a low IQ. It's the worst of the Dalek stories so far. Peter Purvis's Alabama scene on the Empire State Building is also a bit over the top. William Hartnell's portrayal as the robot Doctor is good and makes episode 5 more enjoyable, although the actor looks nothing like the Doctor and no one seems to recognise the obvious robot. The mechanoids have a weird burping voice, and Stephen is introduced as a companion. It gets a higher score for me purely for Ian and Barbara's leaving scene in London 1965. They will be missed. Barbara Wright and Ian Chesterton, two humble teachers during 1963, are surprised by a bright student named Susan Foreman. Confused by the contradictions in Susan's knowledge, Barbara had decided to visit her home, only to learn that the address on record is a junkyard. She and Ian decide to wait at the location until Susan or her grandfather show up. There they discover a junkyard inhabited by her grandfather, simply known as the Doctor, and he doesn't want them lurking about.
Seemed it possible, couldn't you?
Well, yes, but I still don't...
Not quite clear, is it? I can see by your face that you're not certain. You don't understand. I knew you wouldn't. Never mind.
The first episode is magnificent and is great television. The remaining episodes are okay, but not great. It's mainly cavemen arguing about who can make fire and who is the leader of the tribe. However, it's not bad, and after all, this is the story that started it all, and it had to be good for the audience to return the next week. There is a great cliffhanger at the end of episode 1, where you see the shadow of a caveman approaching the TARDIS shortly after it lands. The Doctor and his companions Stephen and Dodo arrive some 10 million years into the future on board a Generation starship, which is carrying the last of humanity away from an Earth that is about to fall into the sun. I really like this one. I like the idea of Dodo having a common cold causing near-fatal issues to the crew of the starship. It's atmospheric with a realistic jungle. The monoids use sign language, and there is a sign language interpreter, which is very modern. I really like the fact that the TARDIS leaves and then returns immediately 700 years into the future, where the monoids have become the dominant species and the humans are their slaves. The Doctor and the crew are put in the kitchen to work. The scenes on the planet Refusis are done well. The doors of the TARDIS open of their own accord just before it materialises, running out of control. On emerging, the travellers find the ship has been reduced in size and they are now only about an inch tall. As tiny people, they stumble across a plot by a ruthless businessman, Forrester, and his misguided scientist colleague, Smithers, to launch a new insecticide, DN6, a product so destructive that it would kill not only those insects harmful to agriculture, but also those vital to it. This is a good 3-parter. I believe that it was originally meant to be 4 episodes, but was changed to 3 episodes last minute. There is some odd incidental music used, but I like the story, and the props are not that bad at all, like the large briefcase.
Barbara, quick, in the briefcase.
The insects are pretty good with the falling fly and ant prop. The large telephone and how the crew use it is well done, and the Doctor's delight at the large explosion that is about to happen at the end of the story is funny.
Can't be long now.
The Doctor, Vicky and Stephen arrive on an arid planet where they meet the beautiful Dravins and the hideous Rills. Each has crash-landed after a confrontation in space. The Rills are friendly, compassionate explorers. The Dravins are dull-witted, cloned soldiers terrorised by the intelligent, warlike matriarch Marga. I watched the animation for this one and I enjoyed it. The animation is decent. I like the story that the beautiful people, the all-female Dravins, are the bad people and the ugly Rills are the good people. All is not what it initially seems on the planet. It's quite a minimalistic story, which is why I feel that the animation works well here. There are some good scenes with Stephen being starved of oxygen whilst in the airlock chamber, and I think that Vicky shines in this story.
The pressure has locked the door. You must surrender or die.
Arriving in Central Asia in 1289, the Doctor and his companions join the caravan of the famous Phoenician explorer Marco Polo as it makes its way from the snowy heights of the Pamir Plateau, across the treacherous Gobi Desert and through the heart of Imperial Cathay. All episodes are currently missing, and I suspect that this is an absolute classic. I watched a reconstruction which does not do it justice, as it seems to be a highly visual story in regards to locations and costumes worn. It will be difficult to animate because of this, as well as the story being 7 episodes long. Apparently this was the most sold show to other countries in the 1960s. It is highly likely to exist somewhere in the world. This is a great historical story, and I hope to revisit it when it is either recovered or animated.
Barbara, I wonder, do you think it could be the Earth? If it were, where do you think we could be?
The TARDIS has brought the travellers to the planet Skaro, where they meet 2 indigenous races, the Daleks, malicious mutant creatures encased in armoured travel machines, and the Thals, beautiful humanoids with pacifist principles. They convince the Thals of the need to fight for their own survival. This is the one that cemented Doctor Who as a classic TV show, although again a bit too long at 7 episodes. It does drag a little in the middle. The Dalek city model is great, as well as the jungle scenes, particularly the scene with Susan running to get back to the TARDIS. There is also the iconic scene where Barbara first encounters the Daleks in the city with the great cliffhanger. I like the fact that the Doctor pretended that he needed something for the TARDIS so that it was an excuse to explore the city.
Well, I mean, what else can we do,
Seems we have no alternative. We have to go to the city.
Yes, indeed. At first light, then?
This is a great Dalek story, but in my opinion it is not the best Hartnell Dalek story. More of that to come. The TARDIS arrives in 12th century Palestine, where a holy war is in the progress between the forces of King Richard the Lionheart and the Saracen ruler Saladin. Barbara is abducted in a Saracen ambush, and the Doctor, Ian and Vicky make their way to King Richard's palace in the city of Jaffa. This is another great historical story, although it does lose out as 2 episodes are missing. The scene with Julian Glover and Jean Marsh arguing is top-class acting.
You defy me with the Pope!
No, you defy the world with your politics. The reason you and all your armies are here is the reason on my side. You are here to fight these dogs, defeat them. Marry me to them and you make a pact with the devil. Force me to it and I'll turn the world we know into your enemy.
Bernard Kay is great. They're all proper actors. There's a great woodland setting, and there is a pretty good fight scene between Ian and a Saracen. There's also an amusing scene with William Hartnell and a clothes merchant. In fact, William Hartnell is generally great in this one.
My lord.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
For what, my lord?
Oh, for being here. For being here when you were most needed. Yes, yes, goodbye.
Goodbye, my lord.
Goodbye. And long live the Sultan.
The TARDIS arrives on the planet Marinus, on an island of glass surrounded by a sea of acid. The travellers are forced by the elderly Arbitan to retrieve 4 of the 5 operating keys to a machine called the Conscience of Marinus, a machine capable of influencing all minds on the planet, of which he is the keeper. These have been hidden in different locations around the planet. This is a great story. It's like an early version of Season 16's Key to Time. There are a lot of locations with a key to collect at each location, so it's rarely boring, and there is good pacing and changes of scenery. There is a dubious clip in episode 5 where Vassal appears to make unwanted sexual advances to Barbara. Thankfully, he dies later on. I particularly like the court scene later on in the story where the Doctor defends Ian, where the justice system is based upon being guilty until proven innocent. A really enjoyable story.
My lords, I cannot defend a man when I have not considered every aspect of the case. I must have time to examine witnesses, read statements, and to prepare my case.
The Tardis materialises not far from Paris in 1794, one of the bloodiest years following the French Revolution of 1789. The travellers become involved with an escape plan, rescuing prisoners from the guillotine, and get caught up in the plans of an English undercover spy, James Sterling, alias Lemaitre, governor of the Conciergerie prison. This is 6 episodes long, with 2 of them being animated, as they are currently missing from the BBC archives. The first episode and cliffhanger are excellent, with the Doctor being stuck in the burning building. There are some weird sound effects and music, although this might be down to the poor copies of the surviving episodes. A strong performance from William Hartnell. He does a lot on his own here, and I particularly like the scenes in the clothing shop.
That I myself personally occupy.
I see. I'm sorry, citizen.
Don't apologise. I want to try that on.
Certainly, citizen.
The jailer having a strong northern accent in France is funny as well. The travellers arrive in a strange domain presided over by the Toymaker, an enigmatic, immortal entity who forces them to play a series of games, failure at which will render them his playthings for all of eternity. A lot of people rank this story lower. I think that if all the original episodes still existed, I would rank it lower, as I cannot see the story working or being able to be fully realised due to budgetary restraints. This is a case where the animation really works for this type of story, where there is a lot of weirdness going on, i.e. the games that Stephen and Dodo have to play. The clowns are creepy, and I really like the Sergeant Rugg and Mrs. Wiggs kitchen scene.
Sergeant Rugg! What do you think you're doing over up there?
Don't you worry, Mrs. Wiggs. I'll be all right.
Oh, I'm not worried about you. It's my best china.
There is not a lot of the Doctor in this story, as he remains invisible for a large part of the story. Cyril, the fat schoolboy, is suitably odious as well. An unusual and enjoyable story.
It's right over here.
You won't find it so easy this time, you know.
The TARDIS has arrived on a far distant and seemingly idyllic world, yet the Doctor, Stephen and Dodo learn it hides a terrible secret. The apparently civilized elders maintain their advanced society by draining and transferring to themselves the life force of the defenceless savages. I watched the animation, as this is a completely missing story from the BBC archives. It's another good animation. I liked the usual story of good versus bad, the way that the superior beings in the city kidnap the cave dwellers and steal their life energy to power the city. The advanced race is bad and the so-called savages are good.
No, of course not. But if you are going to oppose us...
Oppose you? Indeed, I am going to oppose you. Just in the same way that I oppose the Daleks.
The city is well realised and the cave dwellings are suitably bare, representing the differences between the two lives. Stephen decides to stay behind to mediate after the main laboratory is destroyed, and the savages and city people decide to try to coexist peacefully. When the first Doctor, Stephen and Dodo arrive in the town of Tombstone in 1881, the Doctor's only aim is to find a dentist. Adamant that they should only stay a night in Tombstone, the Doctor finds their stay prolonged when he inadvertently becomes involved with a group of gunmen out to kill Doc Holliday. This is a great cowboy story based upon the shootout at the OK Corral. There is a repetitive song called The Last Chance Saloon, which can be annoying, although it is being used for narration purposes. The scenes with the Doctor having toothache and visiting the dentist, Doc Holliday, are great, as well as the Doctor being mistaken as Doc Holliday.
Well, if it ain't a great doc. Oh, you flatter me, young man. Yes, reasonably accomplished, I would say, but not great.
The scenes with Stephen and Dodo having to play piano and sing are funny as well. The sets are well realised and you believe that it is a town in the Wild West. A good shootout at the end as well. A really good story.
And lastly, sir, your humble servant, Dr. Caligari.
Doctor who?
Yes, you're quite right.
When the TARDIS arrives on the plains of Asia Minor, not far from the besieged city of Troy, the Doctor is hailed by Achilles as the mighty god Zeus and taken to the Greek camp. He meets Agamemnon and Odysseus. Forced to admit he is a mere mortal, albeit a traveller in space and time, he is given 2 days to devise a scheme to capture Troy. I watched the reconstruction and surviving clips. This is another great historical, although there is some weird incidental music and trumpet sounds. There are some overacting moments by the actor who plays Odysseus, too many rolling R's. There are some comedic moments as well, the Cyclops, which is just someone with one eye closed. I love that it's the Doctor who suggests the Trojan horse idea and somehow gets involved in the whole plan. Vicky decides to stay behind. Katerina joins the crew. This is a good story and I hope it gets animated.
I will not be quiet. You may stay here if you wish to have your insignificant win, infixia, whatever you call it. But you must let me out of here.
One more word out of you and I shall kill you. You will be my last victim in Troy.
The Doctor, Ian and Barbara arrive on the planet Dido. They find a crashed spaceship, the only 2 survivors of which are terrorised by the monster Coquillion. But who is Coquillion? This is a great 2-parter and it introduces Vicky as a companion. The main set is a typical 60s looking spaceship, but it's decent. It's funny as it has a fake looking alien costume that is actually a fake alien costume with the character Bennett dressed up as the monster. William Hartnell is great again, and there are also some nice scenes with Ian and Barbara.
Well, maybe we're going to see a new side to the Doctor.
Yeah, well, he isn't getting any younger, is he? You know, it's the first time he's been to sleep during a landing. Hey, Barbara, I've got an idea he's getting a bit...
Remember, I can hear what you're saying.
There are also signs that the Doctor's character is becoming less cantankerous and more compassionate. Overall, a great little story.
But don't you think there's just a chance, just a little chance, that my ideas might prove the better ones? Good, good. Now, I'll go and have a talk with Mr. Bennett, and I promise you, I'll listen to everything he says.
The TARDIS returns to London. However, it's the 22nd century. With bodies in the river and quiet in the docklands, the city is a very different place. The Daleks have invaded and it's up to the Doctor to thwart them once again. This is an iconic Dalek story with scenes of Daleks in an empty London city. The Doctor even suggests that Susan needs a jolly good smacked bottom. The Dalek emerging from the Thames is a great looking cliffhanger. Although it's 6 episodes long, it doesn't drag. There's some great direction with low viewing angles of the Daleks. Also some great scenes of the humans pulling the mine train and then escaping en masse at the end of the story. Susan stays behind with David, who has a funny way of pronouncing the word Dalek. All in all, a great Dalek story. The Doctor, Vicky and new companion Stephen Taylor arrive in Saxon, Northumbria, on the eve of the Viking and Norman invasions. It is 1066, a pivotal moment in British history. The hand of a mysterious monk is at work in the nearby monastery, intending that history takes a different course. I love the setting, 1066 England and Battle of Hastings. Peter Butterworth is great as the meddling monk. There's lots of humour. For instance, he tells someone that he's giving them some penicillin and immediately corrects himself by stating that it's a sort of herb.
Eldred, did you swallow these?
What are those, Father?
Oh, it's just some penicillin. It's a sort of herb.
The monastery setting is nice as well. The meddling monk wants to change the outcome of the Battle of Hastings. Also, the Doctor and the monk comparing TARDISes is funny, as the monk has a Mark IV, which is a newer version than the Doctor's. The Doctor removes the dimensional control from the monk's TARDIS, so that the monk is marooned in 1066.
What's he done? He's taken my dimensional control. He's ruined my time machine. I'm marooned.
The TARDIS arrives in 15th century Mexico inside an Aztec tomb. Barbara puts on a bracelet and is mistaken for a god. Ian is forced into training as a soldier. Susan is educated in Aztec culture, and the Doctor accidentally becomes engaged to be married. This is a great historical story with plenty of humour. The character Tloxel is great. He's menacing and a character of pure malevolence. Also, it is rare in that he is one of the few Doctor Who evil characters who doesn't receive any comeuppance whatsoever for his brutal acts and behaviours.
This is a false goddess! And I shall destroy her.
The scenery is very good, and there is some good use of imagery. Overall, a fantastic story. Many years ago, Earth's twin planet Mondas drifted away to the edge of space. Its inhabitants grew weak, so their scientists created spare parts for their bodies. Limbs and organs were slowly replaced by metal and plastics. Emotions were removed. The Cybermen were born. This story introduces the Cybermen and is of course the first regeneration story in Doctor Who. It's set in 1986 and the Cybermen are from the Earth's twin planet Mondas. I don't mind the Cybermen's almost singing voices, certainly not as annoying as the early Dalek voices.
You call them emotions, do you not? There would be no need. We do not feel pain.
The scene where they are interviewing a member of the base with a microphone is funny. Repeating name, age.
This is John Dyson, supervising engineer.
Until it is all gone age.
But that means that the Earth will die.
Yes, everything on Earth will stop age.
William Hartnell is great again, going out with a bang. The Doctor is missing for the third episode as William Hartnell was ill. It's a shame that William Hartnell's last episode is animated, but it's decent enough. The TARDIS arrives in London in 1966, and the First Doctor and Dodo visit the post office tower. There they meet Professor Brett, whose revolutionary new computer, Wotan, can actually think for itself and is shortly to be linked up to other major computers around the world. It's nice to see contemporary London. There's a lot of external scenes and images with the post office tower, which was completed in 1964. It certainly feels like the show is changing with a different pace. The swinging 60s. It introduces Ben and Polly as companions. It also feels a bit like a Pertwee story with the use of the army and the war machine battle. There is also a funny scene where the barmaid suggests that the Doctor looks like that disc jockey, the disgraced Jimmy Savile.
What do you want in here? Oh, it's the Doctor. Do you know him? He's Dodo's boss. He looks like that disc jockey.
I find you.
The machines are looking to take over, which is very Terminator-like. William Hartnell is clearly enjoying himself here. There is a great cliffhanger with him staring down the machine. The war machine prop is pretty good, given the budget. Landing in Rome in AD 64, the travellers take a rare holiday. While Ian and Barbara are happy to relax, the Doctor and Vicky set off to pursue adventure. However, adventure soon finds Ian and Barbara too, as they are kidnapped by slave traders. This is one of the best stories. Great Roman scenery. The team are relaxed on holiday in ancient Rome, enjoying life. There is plenty of humour as well.
And the whole idea of us coming here was that we should all have a nice rest.
My dear boy, there's a great deal of difference between resting and being sort of bone idle.
You never told us you were going away.
Oh, well, I don't know that I was under any obligation to report my movements to you, Chesterfield.
Chesterton.
Oh, Barbara's calling you. What's happened?
He's in the Apoditarium.
The Apodi what?
The Apoditarium.
Oh, really? Well done, well done.
The Doctor is mistaken as a musician, and there is a great scene where he pretends to play a musical instrument, and everyone thinks it's great. The Emperor Nero is a great character, played very well. It's almost like watching a pantomime, and there are certain scenes where the crew keep missing each other. They have no idea what each other have been up to. It's also funny watching the Doctor laughing as he starts the Great Fire of Rome.
Ha ha! Ho ho! Ho 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 ho!
In the year 4000, the Daleks conspire to conquer the solar system. Their scheme involves treachery at the highest levels and a weapon capable of destroying the very fabric of time. Only the Doctor and his friends can prevent catastrophe, and there is no guarantee that they will escape with their lives. This is an epic story. I watched the Josh Snares reconstruction, which is very good. It's 12 episodes long, but it doesn't drag. At the time of recording, 2 more episodes have recently been recovered, meaning there are 5 original episodes available. This is a brutal and grim story in many ways. The Daleks are back to being menacing and not in the silly way they were shown in The Chase. 2 companions die, Katerina sacrifices herself, and Sarah ages horribly due to the time destructor and turns into dust. This would be the last companion death until Adric in the early 80s. It also has the return of the meddling monk when the team visits ancient Egypt. He's great fun again. It also marks the first appearance of Nicholas Courtney, not as the Brigadier, but as Brett Vion. He gets killed by Sarah, so another death. There is the unusual Christmas episode, The Feast of Stephen, which was transmitted on Christmas Day. It's a strange episode, with William Hartnell breaking the fourth wall by addressing the camera directly with drink in hand and wishing everyone a Merry Christmas. I hope that the full story is recovered, or at least animated, although I appreciate that would be a significant undertaking. For me, this is the best of the best, an absolute masterpiece.
I must say it's a strange place to put a city.
Keep absolutely still.
Having watched most of these stories for the first time, I have a newfound appreciation for William Hartnell's Doctor. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, thanks for watching.